Trump's now a felon, but will his guilty verdict blow up trust in the U.S. justice system? Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. Trump has become the first former U.S. president to be convicted of felony charges for his New York hush money case. Trump was found guilty of falsifying business records to conceal his alleged payment to porn star Stormy Daniels to influence the election. And mainstream's media reaction is exactly what you'd expect. It's not just because of the higher ratings. People can now officially label Trump a felon. Yes, this is a real quote from the New York Times. Be careful, too much joy can apparently give you a stutter. Many are treating Trump's guilty verdict as a "we got him" moment that not only shattered his aura of invincibility, but proved that America won. To be fair, the story involving a frivolous lawsuit, a president, and a porn star is about the most American thing I can imagine.
I felt like New York won. I felt like the Manhattan DA's office won. I felt like I won.
I wouldn't get too excited, though. Trump was found guilty in New York, which means if he's treated like most other criminals in the city, he'll be back out on the street in no time. But Democrats certainly see this as a win. After all, they now get to ask whether voters want a convicted felon in the White House. No way! As an American, I prefer the unconstitutional actions, war crimes, and felonies committed by my president to remain unprosecuted. In fact, Alex Soros, the son of George Soros, encourages Democrats to keep referring to Trump as a convicted felon at every opportunity, in the hopes it'll cost him the election. Because Biden is polling so low, his best chance is running against a felon, and even then it's not a sure shot. But if you aren't happy with Trump's hush money trial verdict, you shouldn't worry. According to many Democrats, the rule of law triumphed here.
The rule of law exists in this country. It came to this verdict today. But this is the system working in a fair way.
The American principle that no one is above the law was reaffirmed.
So there, that's it. Done deal. We can wash our hands of this now once and for all. And please, don't you dare criticize the verdict or suggest that the verdict was rigged.
And it's reckless. It's dangerous. It's irresponsible for anyone to say this was rigged just because they don't like the verdict.
Yeah, a judge's decision is final. That's why you never hear any cases in America ever getting appealed. And there's certainly not entire courts devoted exclusively to appeals. No way. Clearly the whole case is on the up and up because Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, the prosecutor who charged Trump in the hush money case, is obviously a saintly prosecutor. Many are saying we all owe Bragg a debt of gratitude. Some have even gone as far as hailing Bragg as the Anointed One. Just so we're clear, the Anointed One in Greek means Christ. They're calling Alvin Bragg Christ. That's ridiculous and offensive. Obviously, Trump is the only one you should compare to Christ, whom you can learn more about in the God Bless the USA Bible, the only Bible endorsed by former president and convicted felon Trump. I'd say Jesus would be rolling over in his grave, but he walked out. Happy belated Easter, everybody. The New York Times depicts Bragg as a humble, apolitical government official who simply did his job without celebrating Trump's guilty verdict. And Politico calls Bragg a reluctant prosecutor. Yes, very reluctant indeed. Remember how reluctantly Bragg campaigned on going after Trump, or how Bragg reluctantly claimed he sued Trump over 100 times? Yeah, so here's the thing. What the mainstream media and Democrats are conveniently ignoring is the fact that Bragg had to contort the law to get the guilty verdict. This is from New York Magazine. That isn't MAGA saying that, it's people on the left, like Ellie Honig, CNN's senior legal analyst. Let me repeat that again to let it sink in. Someone at CNN agrees with Trump. Brace yourselves, folks. I have it on good authority that hell just froze over, which I think I read about in the Trump Bible. Honig says the DA's charges against Trump push the outer boundaries of the law and due process, and calls Trump's case an ill-conceived, unjustified mess. If you need a full breakdown on why he's saying this about the trial, check out this episode where I go in depth on it. I'll put a link below. I'd sum it up here, but it's such an ill-conceived, unjustified mess, it's impossible to quickly sum up what happened. And then there's the thing about Bragg. This is the same dude who pushed for soft on crime policies against armed robbers and drug dealers. I guess consistency isn't one of his qualities. These are the same people who allege the legal system is rigged against people of color, but I guess they stop caring when that color is orange. Even MSNBC says the case is raising eyebrows. If MSNBC has doubts, I'm sounding the alarm for everyone to take shelter. Death on a pale horse isn't too far behind his three amigos. This has become a very biblical episode. But the guilty verdict may be helping Trump. It fired up Republican donors to pledge millions more in Trump's favor. So much so that the sheer volume of traffic crashed Trump's donation website. Forget red waves and blue waves, we're seeing a green wave. Cash, I mean. Jill Stein still has no chance. Even some non-Republicans are jumping to Trump's defense. Silicon Valley investor Sean McGuire, a former Hillary Clinton supporter, announced on Twitter that he donated $300,000 to Trump, citing what he calls unfair lawfare against Trump. And there are rumors that other Democrat-leaning investors like Bill Ackman are considering backing Trump. Because despite their political differences, at the end of the day, they and Trump are still Americans. Rich, billionaire Americans, they gotta stick together. Now, I know what you're thinking. Chris, what does Hillary Clinton have to say about all this? Well, she's ecstatic. She even came out with new merch to commemorate it. She was right about everything? Well, except how much the campaign in Michigan and Wisconsin. But you know, it's kind of ironic that Trump's felony charges were for mislabeling business records in an alleged attempt to interfere with the presidential election, because the Federal Election Commission fined the Democratic National Committee and Clinton's 2016 campaign for mislabeling payments made to a law firm for the discredited Steele dossier. Rather than describe payment for the Steele dossier as opposition research, the DNC and Clinton's campaign labeled it as legal advice and services. And yet, Clinton isn't being charged for committing a felony. No one is hounding her to see if she's trying to hide some other crime violating election laws, even though Clinton pushed the Steele dossier to influence the 2016 election. I'm still not suicidal, by the way. I don't know why I keep bringing that up. And get this. The guy who was in charge of filing payments for the Clinton campaign is Gary Gensler. He's now the Biden-appointed chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission. As far as I'm aware, he's not facing felony charges over business records. But let's give Clinton a break. Trump's situation is just so foreign to her. How in the world could she ever understand paying off a woman to keep quiet about an illicit sexual relationship? The Clintons are moral exemplars, and we should follow their righteous example. Her husband has never, ever paid off a porn star. A government employee, yes, but never a porn star. It's a completely different situation. So, are there legitimate reasons to criticize the trial? Of course not, you nutter. The justice system is under attack by Donald Trump. And Republicans are joining Trump's attacks on the justice system. First, they tried to undermine faith in the electoral process. Now, they're trying to undermine faith in the justice system. And there are people who still want to vote Trump. You know, at this rate, I think we might have to cancel the election. We can't have people making the wrong vote. That's the only way to save democracy. If you want nonpartisan news coverage that doesn't look like this, then help America Uncovered by liking and subscribing. YouTube has been unsubscribing people en masse, which is why I need your support. All it takes is $1 an episode on the crowdfunding website, patreon.com/America Uncovered. I usually make about 12 episodes a month, but if that's too much for you, you can always set a monthly limit. You can help me continue to uncover America for just $1 a month. And as a thank you, I'll respond to your questions or comments. Today's comes from Bill Was. Great analysis, Chris. Somehow the idea of taking aim at someone and then looking for a reason to justify that aim just doesn't sit well with anyone having a few neurons to rub together. Why, thank you, Bill. Bill is talking about the deep dive I did on the trial, which, again, I'm putting a link to below. I found that pretty much everyone on the right and left was covering the trial incorrectly, like getting basic facts wrong. And that's one of the things I love doing on America Uncovered, cutting through all the noise on social media and the talking heads and finding out what is actually happening. And Bill, You've been very generous with your support for a long time now, so thank you for making that kind of reporting possible. And thank you for watching. Hit that orange button to support the show on Patreon. And if you didn't know, I also talk about philosophy through the lens of gaming on my new show, Deep Thoughts While Gaming. These are highly produced scripted episodes, not just me ranting while I play games. Click here for the latest. It's about why people who know the least know it the loudest, according to Halo. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching America Uncovered.